Welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are joining us from. Welcome back to another episode of the LeadHer Lounge. This is our relaxed monthly conversation through our National Women in Ag and Agri-Food Network project, where women across agriculture come together to share their experiences, spark ideas, and talk about things that impact our work every day. For those of you who don't know me, and maybe your first time here, I am Phyllis McCollum. I am CARC's Director of Research and Knowledge Mobilization, and I'm the project lead currently for the National Women in Agriculture Network. My husband and I have a herd of Hereford cattle just west of Ottawa and a livestock trucking company. So, like many of you, I am balancing work, community, and farm life all at once. And these conversations really do hit home and matter to me every day. So this week is Canadian Ag Safety Week, and so we did want to focus our topic on being safe on farm. And so we have Jenna Tracey, who is a safety advisor from AgSafe BC, joining us to discuss how we ensure that we are being safe in our agricultural operations. Before we begin, I just want to take a moment for our land acknowledgement. Canada is home to more than 600 First Nations who have governed and managed these lands since the beginning of time. The Canadian Agriculture Human Resource Council gratefully acknowledges that we work throughout these lands of these First Nations and that our office is located on the unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. So, Jenna, I will pass it on to you to take it away on how we should ensure safety on farm.
Thank you. Morning, everybody. I saw one familiar name on the chat, so that was interesting. Blurbs. So yeah, thank you so much for having me. So my name is Jenna Tracey. I work for an organization called AgSafe, and it's in British Columbia. Um, it's a wonderful place to work, and I'm so thankful to be here to speak with all you ladies. So I haven't done this like in a group setting like of just women before, so this is exciting for me. And I was very excited when my boss asked if I could do it as well. There's two of us female advisors in the Lower Mainland. Her name is Emily Kerr. I'm sure many of you heard of her before. Pardon me, she's a dear friend of mine. And yeah, so we were both, she was busy today, and I was like, perfect. I get to have a conversation with you ladies. So thank you very much. Can you everybody see this still? Phyllis, you good?
Yes, very
Um,
good.
So yeah, we just wanted to, well, I wanted to touch base after talking with Phyllis too, just about kind of who we are. If you haven't, anybody hasn't heard of us before, um, we wanted to talk about some topics about mental health, and then just about like farming equipment and operations, and women on the farms and in agriculture. So a little bit of who we are. Like I said, we are a health and safety organization association in British Columbia. Um, there are consultants as well as advisors like myself. So in the Lower Mainland, there's advisors, and then all throughout British Columbia, from Vancouver Island all the way up to the Pacific Northwest, there's consultants all throughout. So if you or anybody that you know of, if they need anything health and safety, we are a very good resource to use. If the farm is paying into the WorkSafe premiums, we are a free service for you because that's how we're paid. Um, so yeah, so use us for as much as you want, as much as you can. Um, that's why we're here. We're here to help. We cover everything from apiaries to dairy farms to cannabis, composting, mushroom, nurseries, you name it. So, farm services. Uh, so we're kind of like a broad range. We all lean on each other for different topics that we kind of specialize in, and fields, I should say, that we specialize in. So, if you are fall under one of those classification units, to the screen on the left there, give us a shout. And if at any moment, are we going to wait till the end too, Phyllis, to have questions?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. If anyone has questions along the way, if you wanted
Mhm.
to drop them in the chat and we can go through them, or I think I can unmute folks after.
Yeah,
and you can directly ask your questions, whichever works.
perfect. So, like I was mentioning, AgSafe plays no role in WorkSafe's regulatory enforcement, collection, insurance assessments, or provision of workers' compensation services. So, we don't report directly to WorkSafe BC, but we do work very closely with them. So, if a WorkSafe officer were to go onto a farm and issue orders, on those orders it would say you can contact AgSafe, and then we can come out and give you a hand. So, I like to call us we're like the good guys. We're the middleman. So we're good guys, good ladies. But so are they. But yeah, so we don't report directly to them, but we do work very closely with them. Um, of course, this is on my thing here. Please move there. Um, so I was talking with Phyllis on Monday, and there's so many different topics we could have chatted about, but I do know that um, mental health is something that is being obviously talked about a lot more, which it makes me very happy. Um, I have a lot of people contact me, not only privately, but like when we're at big, like with meetings and presentations, they'll pull me aside afterwards and they say, so, like, that's what they're really happy that we have these resources available to them. But one of the things that we wanted to talk about after having a conversation with Phyllis was mental health with women. Um, in agriculture, men as well, but women are kind of wearing multiple hats as well. So I did pull a couple facts from the CASA website, which was exciting. But so women in Canadian agriculture often take multiple overlapping roles, like men, but women in a different context as well, such as farm operators, business managers, caregiver, employee, community member, staff, and they like to, and again, like they take on the safety advocate role a lot of the times too. So while this versatility is a strength, it can also increase the risk of mental health challenges when demands stack up without enough support. So again, safety advocates. So women are often the primary drivers of the safety initiatives on the Canadian farms, with 25% of women surveyed stating that without them, a focus on safety would not exist, which I've seen firsthand. I go to multiple farms every day, and specifically like smaller operations, family-run farms are driven a lot by the female on the farm, from grandma to mom to mom and grandma to daughters. So yeah, it's an extra responsibility that the female role takes on. So my lovely hat. We all wear many different hats, but across Canada, women in agriculture frequently juggle many different things on the farm or in agriculture or in whatever setting you're in. Like we had said before, in farm operations, like Phyllis, livestock care, planting, harvesting, doing like the research, and there's so many things that come with that. Business management, finances, and compliance with us and with WorkSafe BC, payroll, making sure everybody gets paid on time. That's a huge stress in itself. Family responsibilities. You have to take care of your children, your elders, household duties, your husband, boyfriends, cousins, anybody, grandparents, off-farm employment to supplement the income from the farm, community roles, volunteering, local leadership, um, volunteering at your church. Like there's so many different things that can come with that, right? So this constant switching between roles can definitely become a burnout, creating with chronic stress, fatigue, sleep disruption, feeling of isolation, especially in rural areas, pressure to meet expectations in both traditional and modern roles, and prioritizing self-care. I know I have a hard time doing that, and I'm not operating a farm. So, um, it is definitely a juggle that we see. Like we said, constant switching between roles can lead to burnout, and different times of the year as well. Like when it's harvest season, um, starting school, ending school, summer break, spring break, like we're in right now in British Columbia. Fatigue, sleep disruption, feeling of isolation. Who can I talk to? Am I the only one that feels like this? Why I try to reach out to my neighbor or talk to my mom, and they're like, well, you just need to put on your pull it up and carry on, right? Like suck it up kind of a thing. Pressure to meet expectations in both traditional and modern roles, like we said, and difficulty prioritizing yourself. So it's a definitely a juggle. So having some resources like us and finding and knowing what resources you can reach out to, it plays a huge part. Um, Contributing factors in agriculture, um, financial uncertainty, the weather, like we're having right now, crazy atmospheric rivers, my new favorite word, the markets, input costs, long, unpredictable work hours. So you'll have to make up for the weather this week, for next week. Limited access to healthcare, depending where you are, mental health services, cultural expectations around resilience, and like we had said, I mentioned earlier, toughing it out, sucking it up, under recognition of women's contribution on the farm. Everybody likes a little pat on the back, once in a while, but to build that community of the women and the supporting of one another is huge. Um, Emotional exhaustion, reducing job satisfaction, and the strain it can cause even on your relationship with many different, from friends to family, or from children to yourself, your business partners. It can cause a huge impact. Some practical supports that we like I had mentioned too, that we've noticed is made a very large impact, was building support networks. Like even like this leadership group, this is so good. Um, just building each other up and reaching out to each other if you're having a difficult time, or if you're having questions about something, reaching out. Creating like different farm organizations, like with us, um, accessing resources from all over. CASA, there's another wonderful, like we work with a mental health organization very closely, um, with counseling services free for farmers. Setting boundaries between work and personal time, obviously where possible. Not everybody can do that all. Sharing workload and decision-making responsibilities. Sometimes that's easier said than done. Seeking professional help, mental health programs, counselors, knowing where to reach out to those people, because sometimes if you're in a spot that you like, or you want to keep it to yourself, you don't want people knowing that you're doing that. That's another big a worry and a stress that women can face. These are just some interesting facts. So yeah, counselors are set up directly with the farmer. So anybody who works in the farming industry, it doesn't matter where your farm is, in all of Canada, we have counseling services are provided for free to any farmer. So you can reach out and see what counselor is available in your area and at no cost, which is a huge asset. It's a again, like it's a confidential third party resource. Um, I have had people directly reach out with a little, asking for more specifics, if they could maybe, um, there was this one lady who wanted somebody a little bit more Christian focused. So she asked if there was something or somebody she knew of, or that I knew of, sorry, that would be able to provide that as a service. And I was able to kind of direct her in the right direction with that as well, with the help of the counselors that we work really closely with. So just, and it's all confidential. I don't tell anybody. I don't report it to anybody. They don't report it to anybody. Just like how programs typically run. So I can share this with Phyllis afterwards as well, or you could even just go onto our website, and we have a large section there about mental health resources. Um, other topics that I wanted to talk about. So, two very real and well documented issues in agriculture are training gaps and physical differences in equipment design. And this is not to like, this is not a sexist or stereotypical thing, but this is just the reality of it um, in agriculture. So training gaps. This is where my notes are kind of lost. So sorry if I'm just reading the screen, but it is kind of mirroring it. So training gaps. So a significant number of women in agriculture report not being adequately included in safety training. Sometimes it's not deliberate. It's just that's how they do it. This is how we've run. This is what we've done for the last 50 years or 10 years or whatever, right? So nearly 60% feel they should have more opportunities to participate in training sessions. This gap can lead to reduced confidence, limited hazard awareness, and increased risk of injury. Training programs are often designed with a one-size-fits-all approach, which may unintentionally exclude or overlook the specific roles and responsibilities women perform on farms. And this even could be just like the communication to children on the farm as well. Like if you're not aware of how a piece of machinery works, how are you supposed to let your children or your children's friends or cousins come over and be like, hey, don't go near that because X, Y, and Z. The PTO shaft on the back of the tractor is a huge cause of death. Tractors on farms are the number one causes of death. So if you're not aware of how a piece of machinery works, try to educate yourself. Or again, this is how this group of women kind of support each other and been like, I have this size of tractor or this age. Am I supposed to have a rollover protective structure? Um, like, does my forklift need to have a rear view mirror? Um, all these things. Do you know what I mean? So it's important to understand what equipment you have, and if you aren't already educated on it, um, try to reach out and do as much as you can to educate yourself and others so then you can avoid potential injuries. Just like I had mentioned as well, differences and equipment design. So biological and anatomical differences can impact how women safely interact with tools, machinery, and PPE, which is also a very large gap on in agriculture. So many agricultural machines and tools are designed based on average male body dimensions, which is a true fact, which can result in reduced reach and control over equipment. Not so much for me. I'm 6'1", so I don't have an issue with reaching the pedals. Increased strain and fatigue, improper fit of PPE, gloves. Again, I don't have really a problem with gloves. Maybe that they're too small and the smalls don't fit, but the larges are like dangling off my hands. Coveralls, usually too short. They're capris on myself, and harnesses. And sometimes even masks. If women are wearing masks on farms, their faces might be a little bit smaller and built a little bit different. So their mask can be a little bit more, well, just grab the extra large from Home Depot or Canadian Tire, but it's not really doing anything for us, right? Some, but not all. So make sure that you're properly fit with the right PPE to do the job, or your children, or like I said, anybody that comes on the farm, that if they're going to be operating or using that piece of equipment, that they have properly fitted PPE. So yeah, these factors can increase the likelihood of injury and reduce overall safety. Addressing these differences through inclusive equipment design, adjustable machinery, proper PPE is essential for creating a safe workplace environment. So women play vital roles on farms and in communities, balancing responsibilities, supporting mental health, safety, and opportunity benefits everyone in agriculture. So let's just continue to recognize, celebrate, and empower women, because when they thrive, our farms and communities thrive, which is true. So that was kind of it. I hope that's decent for everybody. And if you have any questions, I think this is probably the most valuable part of the session here, is if you have any questions, I'm an open book and I'll do my best to answer. And thank you all so much for listening to my ramble presentation. And sorry my notes weren't in there, but we got through it. So thank you.
All good. Perfect. Thank you, Jenna. That was great.
Yeah.
Um, and like we said before, if anyone has any questions, please do put them in the chat, and we can get those rolling. I guess a question for you as being on farms and seeing, you're there for a reason. You're helping someone, either who's working on changing safety on farm or trying to implement new stuff. What's sort of the biggest thing that you see regularly that you're like, this is like a low-hanging fruit that could be fixed on every farm, that would maybe not save you from being out there all the time, but would be like one less thing that you would be kind of training them or teaching them to be more safe about.
Well, I'm trying to think of something general that like I see at every farm, but like dairy even is very, very different from like a nursery.
Right, right.
So honestly, like emergency preparedness is a very large thing as well, but like knowing who to contact.
Yeah,
Like it's like out here, I'm not too sure out in your way, but like with temporary foreign workers, that is a very oh yeah, there, please, could foreign women apply for this? Um yeah, I would say temporary foreign workers, making sure that they can that you're who the owner or whoever that may be, supervisor, whoever is
yeah,
relaying that information, training them properly with the right information. Like you could be
yeah,
going through an orientation that WorkSafe gives you or that you just kind of come up with. But, you know, I would say making sure that they are aware of like where they can get the information. If you have it on a bulletin board in the coffee room or
yeah,
or that it's texted to everybody when they arrive on site or somewhere that it's like a common ground. Like that's a huge
yeah,
thing. It's knowing who to contact. And that can answer so many questions, like answers too. So if there's an
yeah,
injury, if they don't know how to do a job, if they're checking in or they don't know where Joe is, like who do
yeah.
you call? And,
Yeah.
do these people feel comfortable enough calling you, or is it very just like, that creates a big thing?
Yeah, and that emergency preparedness piece, I think is something that we do overlook. Like, I know like for a lot of the, I ride, so like there are, public spaces, but we have in the arena, like, call 911, this is the address that you're sending
Yeah.
them to. But, in the event of a natural disaster emergency, we're I think we always think that it's going to come, like we're going to have some sort of warning, which
Hmm.
doesn't always happen.
No.
And so then it's what do we do in that
Yeah.
situation, right? We know
Yeah.
what to do if, someone gets hurt with a tractor, or they get, stepped on by a cow, but the other things that could happen need to be prepared for as
Yeah.
well. So yeah,
Totally.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, reminders of where to get info, and we all forget in a stressful situation. Um, that is so true, Angie. We had an emergency on a horse farm I was at, and I had to call 911,
Hmm.
and I couldn't get into my phone password.
Because you
My muscle memory was not working.
Yeah.
Like it was just natural, and so I hit emergency eventually. Like my brain clicked
Yeah.
in that I needed to just hit emergency, but I actually couldn't unlock my phone because I was so stressed rushing to call 911.
It's like you just
So
go
yeah.
blank.
Yeah, you totally go blank.
Yeah.
It has to, we have to know what the process is almost by muscle memory, even though we don't use it every day.
Yeah.
Because it's crazy how your brain does go blank in a stressful situation like that. So
100%. And that's why, like, does it happen on farms? Very, like, the percentage of it is extremely low, but like, I
mhm.
don't like to use the word like drills, but when you talk about things enough, like,
You send the chat after email. Okay, yeah, I
oh,
think I should be able to save it.
um, but talking about it, okay, if this is were to happen, okay, now we know that, like, for example, here, and Angie is close to me as well,
Mhm.
the atmospheric rivers, like, everybody is on edge when this happens, and they are prepared now more because that the catastrophe that happened a few years ago, like that happened overnight, and like,
Yeah.
um, it was extremely traumatic, and so people to like they're a lot more, I would say, aware, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're even they're prepared. They're
Right,
aware,
prepared.
but they
Yeah, they're
might not
aware
be
that it could
prepared.
happen, but what do they actually have to do?
Well, we
Like, yeah,
got through it, or so it's like
yeah,
it's just having that conversation and like on repeat, like you said. So okay, so if this happens, I'm gonna call this person. Like
yeah,
obviously you don't like every day or whatever, but it's like okay, we know that the winter season here rains crazy. The
mhm,
spring we've had a crazy March already, so it's like let's get this conversation about like maybe let's look at some patterns here and like be ready if something were to happen and
yeah,
make sure our staff is prepared. It might be my son or it might be another worker from Mexico that has no clue,
yes,
or and not even clue, but training or experience.
yeah,
That's a huge thing. So that plays a huge part in that as well as being prepared as much as you
yeah.
can be. Hmm.
Exactly, exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, and if it's someone's, first time being in Canada, or or they've changed, they've come from elsewhere, even if they're Canadian and they've come from another province and it's their first time experiencing, especially like BC, because BC has had such turbulent weather over the last few years that, I mean, yes, we see it on the news, but to actually, be standing in a dairy barn that is, about to be flooded or
Yeah,
could be in, in proximity of flooding. I mean, like, where do you start? What do you start preparing with, and what do you start to do? So
totally.
absolutely, I
And
think that's great.
that plays we play a large part in like emergency preparation and all that kind of stuff as well, and
Yeah.
like even talking about and giving them the resources for it too. So like what is your action plan? And that's why community, like I keep, it's just I beat it into people is like you have to have some sort of like a community of like okay, Joe down the road has a this size of a trailer, it's that person, this person, like that's what I
Yeah.
mean about like that kind of stuff. Di nurseries and stuff is a little bit different. Um, but when there's lives at stake as well, like
Yeah.
that's a big thing. And
Yeah.
animals include, that's what I mean by lives as well,
Yeah, the
right?
li the livestock conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, unfortunately we see, fires as well, right? Barn fires. So who are
Oh
you
yeah.
calling? We've been called in the middle of the night. And it's always weird. It's like, someone calls you at 10:30 at night. You're like, why is someone calling me? And then
Yeah.
they call you again and you're like, that's not
Your
normal.
spidey
And
senses are going off.
yeah,
Yeah.
and they're like, yeah, we need a trailer and we need it like 20 minutes ago. It's like
Hmm.
on our way out the door. We're
Yeah.
going. So, and
Totally.
you're hoping to be able to, get livestock out and then get them moved to wherever they need to be
Yeah.
for safety. But yeah, it's being prepared and know again, allowing your brain to function or have someone there who is sort of responsible for that
Yeah.
to say, okay, like, I'm going to step back from the chaos and start calling people so we can get the community rolling.
Yeah.
Jody said in Alberta, we also talk about having land locations on a page in every vehicle to help them get to help them get help to the land that they're at. Yeah, absolutely.
That's
Open
huge. Yeah.
communication can play a big role in safety, making sure everyone feels comfortable bringing forward the concerns. Temporary foreign workers may also have great ideas on how to manage and
Hmm.
prepare for emergency situations. Yeah, definitely. And especially if they've, either been at other farms or been at different situations that they've, worked at places, they might have really good ideas.
Yeah.
And Barb from Ontario Soil and Crop Improvement Association has a template for emergency planning on the website, and it is taught with the environmental plan.
That's
Right.
awesome.
Yeah.
We have emergency planning steps as well. We actually have a big meeting next week about that. But yeah, it's going to be different all across the different jurisdictions and stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Very cool. Um, I think the other piece too, I mean, and that was the piece that you touched on with safety is like, ensuring that you have either that you have the operational capacity, understand how to operate machinery, but just have the understanding of how things do move and function, even if you're not operating them. So you
yeah,
can be knowledgeable in that. We did some training and everything through funding that we delivered last summer to get ladies comfortable driving equipment. But I think just understanding how that operates and where the safety features are and those kinds of things are really important.
yeah,
And you touched on PPE. We had a segment on that as well, ensuring that ladies had the proper
yeah,
PPE when they're working in operations and
yeah.
And all those things have additional physical safety attributes to them,
Yes.
right? That you're not wearing
Yes.
baggy clothes, that you have things that fit properly.
Scarves around
Yeah.
when you have conveyor belts, and
Yeah.
yeah, it can be it's so many different layers to this, So um and I've specifically too having children of my own on a farm, like, and it's not like it's a deliberate thing, but like even my father-in-law, like I've shown up from work before and my son's in the excavator and I'm like, he's 12. And that wasn't recently, that was a couple years ago. And I'm like, is he, like I understand how things work, and like they're called accidents for a reason, like, and you could be operating something from when you're very young, and that's great. But do you really like to understand the safety be even behind the equipment? So, like a bar, the rollover protective structure on a tractor. So any tractor before 1985 did not have them.
No.
Any tractor afterwards they do, but like it's imperative to wear a seatbelt if you have the bar because it will save your life. And if it doesn't
Yeah.
have the bar, you do not wear a seatbelt. So even something like that quick
Right.
conversation with somebody is huge, or like the different ruts in the road, and is one tire a little bit lower than the other one, and that's going to cause an imbalance. Like it's not that they don't know how to operate the tractor, it's things to look for if
Yeah.
they're not, like, um, and those are very interesting things, and just understanding, like you don't have to be an expert on how to operate the equipment, but understanding how it works. If
Yeah.
something were to happen, a friend of ours out here as well, he had a brain aneurysm in the barn while he was doing a tour, and people he was with, like they just started giving him CPR, and they brought like he was able to get into the ambulance, but like
Yeah.
if what if you were to go in and see something? What is the procedure, or like not even procedure? Obviously, you call 911, but like you said, what if it's somebody's on their second day and they're like, like they don't know what to do, like it
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
So just the communication and the prepare, I don't want to say for the worst, but be prepared to have to be able to answer questions. If somebody asks
Mhm.
you, how does this work or how does this turn on? Try to understand how that works.
Yeah.
Why do you have to have that sign before you go into the agitator room in the dairy farm? Because there's going to be H2S gases and you can go down. And then if
Yeah.
somebody else sees you down, it's only human nature to go in and try to pull you out, but that person also is going to go down. So
Yes.
those are communication like topics to have. Like you, if it's around the dinner table or around the coffee table in the lunchroom, so be it.
Yeah, yeah, but everyone
Sometimes,
needs to be aware. Yeah, and like just the one that I do a lot of horse stuff, and what I've run into more often than not is like when a horse breaks off a water bowl and you come into a flooded barn, and then it's where does the water shut off? I've
yeah,
worked here for
yeah.
5 years. I've never shut the main water off, right?
Hmm.
So, you're like following the pipeline, and
Yeah.
so, I mean, usually the water systems are fairly straightforward and you can find something that would slow the water down at least. But, it's like, it was just because I understand how that works and not because I knew where it was. And so, it's those really I mean, simple things, but, in the case, like, how do you turn off the electricity? How do
Yeah.
you just shut the place down if you had to?
Power it off.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so those are really important ones. And emergency stop buttons, whatever it's going needs to stop ASAP.
Yeah.
And you don't have time to run, like, down a 200-foot barn to get to
Yeah.
the power source. It has to have a shut
Yeah.
off. And so
Yeah.
those are really important ones that I think. And with the kids operating farm equipment, I have twin girls. They're only coming two in the summer, so we have a little ways to go. But even I see some of my friends who have younger kids and they're in equipment and they can operate it absolutely for sure.
Yeah.
It's like born second nature kind of stuff.
Totally.
But it's under like it's almost again, do you know how to shut it off if something happened? Could you
Would
shut it
it?
down?
Yeah.
And could you get out of it if something was going wrong?
Yeah.
And so it's understanding how those things happen. And and I love seeing the kids that are loving, driving the tractors and stuff, but I always be like, did we do a farm safety feature before we before we did that? Some do,
Totally.
some not.
Some
So,
do, and some don't. And some
yeah.
post pictures of the six kids that are in the bucket and on the back. And I'm like, ooh, I see these things, and I'm like, okay, it
Yeah.
might be for a prop picture, but like, are they operating with three of them in the bucket? And like,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the awareness as education as much as you can kind of fill yourself and your community with is huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Very good. I don't see any more questions. If anyone has anything for Jenna, we'd be happy to take those for another few minutes. While I have everyone's attention still, I have a little announcement. We have been asked by, I think it was Farm Management Canada that sent it my way. The nominations are open for the Canadian Agriculture Hall of Fame. And I'm just trying to find where I put this so I can give you the right information. I saved that somewhere. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Okay, so Canada is seeking agriculture champions for the Hall of Fame. Nominations are open to the first. And we were forwarded this because apparently there have been very few women over the last number of years inducted into the Ag Hall of Fame. And so, if you know anyone who is worthy of nomination, it says that candidates have to be nominated by an individual or corporate member who is associated with the Hall of Fame Association. And so we do know some people that are on the board. I don't know if they can just nominate for people or they're really seeking new memberships. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but if you have ladies who are worthy of nomination to the Hall of Fame, nominations are currently open to the 1st of May, and it would be great to see some more ladies inducted. So I just wanted to pass that on. Um, we are also, for those who may not have been on our last webinar, we are still waiting on hearing final approval, or, yeah, final approval, I guess it is, of our possibility of Agriculture Canada funding for 2026-27. And this would be for our National Women in Ag Network. It would have potentially some more funding for the regional projects that we were able to fund last summer. And so we are still waiting on some finalization there to see if it gets fully approved or what the deal is. But hopefully, seeing that's supposed to start April 1st, I hope to hear very shortly. But yes, hopefully good things are coming from that soon, and we can continue on with this great work and getting everyone together, and then hopefully also building those regional pieces as well. So I don't see any other questions or comments. Jenna, do you have anything that you would like to share one last minute?
No, I'm good. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. And yeah, I appreciate it. And yeah, I'd love to join in on this too. This would be great.
Absolutely, for sure. We'll definitely keep in touch. I want to thank everyone for joining us today and taking the time. If you are if you're in the east side, taking your lunch. If you're further across the country, taking late morning to join us and be part of this conversation. We really do appreciate it. We're looking forward to doing more work in this space. And again, it is the International Year of the Woman Farmer. We are working on events to host at and participating in. So if you are hosting events and would like some comm support or faces at that gathering, we'd be happy to do some of that work and participate in there as well. And yeah, just everyone have a great rest of your day and